And we are joined on the Friday, the day before the Millwall game, by the illustrious Steve Bones. Steve, welcome. Lots to talk about. Can I, though,
thank you.
Can I just take you back to get your passing shot on the Blackburn game and the result and the way we played? I'd love to get your take on that.
It was a terrible game, wasn't it? I thought. I actually thought it was one of the worst games I've seen this season. There just wasn't any fluency to it, was there? We didn't play as well as we can. Didn't think Blackburn were very good either. I thought it was two teams having an off day, sort of cancelling each other out. But didn't matter. Did we care about any of that? No, I don't think we did, because we got the goal. We held on to that lead. The one thing we did do well was we defended very well. Although Blackburn didn't offer a lot when they did get forward, I thought we defended well. We put bodies on the line when we had to. Nico didn't have to do too much in goal, did he? One save that I can remember. And as you know from past conversations on here, I do like a 1-0 win or a 1-goal win, because I think when you achieve a 1-goal win, it kind of feels better than if you just talk to somebody 4-0. So big feeling relief at the end. We did need to win that game, and we did enough to win it. It won't live long in the memory, though, will it, as a spectacle? I don't think. It was scrappy.
Yeah, you make a very good point. If it's 4-0, then you're kind of looking at your watch and going, should we leave early? Because, it's our game over. And even if we miss a goal, we've seen 4.
Nice polite applause at the end, isn't there, if that happens? Whereas if it's 1-0 and you're hanging on a bit, people like that. And it's good for you just it sort of engenders the right sort of spirit about the place, doesn't it? Look at this, we can win we can hang on to slender leads at home against good teams. We've done it at quite a few games lately, because obviously Leeds was 1-0, Cardiff was 2-1, Middlesbrough 2-1, wasn't it? So we've had a few squeaky ones, but we're pretty good at holding out for the result when we need to, and it was a big 3 points. I think I said last week I'm looking at 2 groups of 4 games, and this first group of 4, which also includes Millwall and Coventry and Derby, and we'll come on to those away games in a minute. I was looking at 6 points from those 4 to put you sort of one big step towards safety. So having won the first of those 4, we now, by my calculations, if my maths is correct, we only, if we get 3 points from the next 3, whether that's winning 1 or drawing all 3, that's fine. We're on course.
You sound as though you're about to say that you'd settle for the same approach against Millwall.
Definitely, yeah. I hope it's a better game. I hope we play better than we did against Blackburn. But if we don't, and we end up getting a 1-0 win or a draw, be quite happy. At this, a lot of people, you hear a lot of people say, don't you? At this time of the season, it's all about results. That's a favourite line of managers at the moment, isn't it? In a way, for it's like that all the way through the season for me, because I just think, if you grind out 1-0 wins all season, you'll have had a very good season. It might not be much champagne football along the way, and of course we want to see a bit of that as well, don't we? And we have done this season, but it's all about results. It's all about where you're on the table and where you end up, and people won't remember the detail of the quality of some of the fare they've seen too much. As long as you're on the right side of that relegation dotted line.
3 games in a week. Manager does like unchanged if he can do it. Yeah. But will they last?
Yeah. So I don't think we'll see the same starting lineup in each of the 3 games. I think there'll be a bit of rotation going on. We've got the prospect of Milosevic coming into the defence, haven't we? For one of the games, might come in at Millwall. We don't know. If he doesn't come in at Millwall, might come in at Coventry. You've got some other options. You've got Hayden that you could bring in for a start in midfield, having seen Potts and Dazelle start last week. You could switch the 3 across behind Bishop a little bit. You can make 1 or 2 changes there, and I think he probably will. Not necessarily at Millwall, but if not at Millwall, then at Coventry. Don't think Bishop will be rotated. Don't think he can afford to, in a way. But no, I'd be surprised if we don't see sort of at least 2 or 3 changes between Saturday and Wednesday.
Are you surprised to see Cheech being praised for his work rate and tackling as opposed to his silky skills?
Well, yeah, I can see why he is, because he does get around, doesn't he? He likes to scurry around and do his share of pressing, and he doesn't mind to tackle, does he? Which some players in that position, they shy away from a tackle a bit, don't they? They're not that's not really their side of the game. They'd rather be the ones with the ball and being tackled rather than doing the tackling. But he doesn't care, does he? He likes to get stuck in. But at the same time, that's not what we brought him in for, is it? We brought him in to replace Callum Lang. to be blunt, we brought him in to be a support to play a support role for Bishop, to link up with Ritchie and Murphy and whoever else is playing in those positions, and to create and to open up goal scoring opportunities. And he hasn't done too much of that yet. One goal, I think, isn't it? And a good performance against Plymouth when he was the standout player. But it's been a bit patchy otherwise. Still think there's something there. Whether he's doing enough at the moment to make Pompey think, right, here's somebody we want to sign for next season, not too sure. I think there's more to come, but we need to see it pretty soon.
Absolutely. Would you presumably would play an unchanged side, certainly against Millwall, and you'd look to retain as many as possible against Coventry, because they're doing all right?
Well, I don't know, actually. I think it depends on Milosevic. If Milosevic is fit and looking good in training, and you had the option of bringing him in, I think I might bring him in and move Conor Ogilvie back to left back, as well as he did. Did very well at centre half last week. Kept a clean sheet. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with what he did alongside Poole, who I thought was our best player, by the way, Regan Poole. But I think if I could, I would bring in Milosevic. It's Millwall away. It's going to be a rough, tough game. Going to be some long balls coming through. There's going to be a lot of pressure at different times of the game, possibly throughout the whole game. I think Milosevic this might be a good one for him to be blooded in. That would enable you to put Ogilvie back to left back. You could either then put Bramall back on the bench as backup, or you could accommodate him further forward. Like the look of Bramall, he's got a bit of pace about him, hasn't he? Likes to get the ball, get down the touchline.
Yeah. Athletic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Got a couple of crosses in, didn't he, last week? So he's a good option to have on the bench if he's not in the team. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's unchanged at Millwall, and then maybe a couple of changes at Coventry. I mean, you've got 4 days in between Millwall and Coventry. You've only then got 3 days. You've got sort of 2.5 days almost, haven't you, between Coventry on Wednesday night and Derby on Saturday afternoon. So that, I wonder if maybe he'll think actually doesn't need to. Players are getting enough of a break between Millwall and Coventry. Perhaps more the concern is could everybody play at Coventry on Wednesday night and then at home to Derby on the Saturday? He might, not probably in the same way that he did in a few games earlier in the season, but he might, if we get something at Millwall, he might decide to put all his eggs in the Derby basket and think, right, well, not a disaster if we lose 1-0 at Coventry. Let's rest a couple, might rest Ritchie and Murphy, or one of the two of them at Coventry, and then bring back in for Derby at home, which is the bigger, it's the more winnable game and it's the more important game, isn't it?
They have a championship form side at the moment.
They're very good, aren't they? If they're on 4 in a row or something.
Yep.
I don't think they'll go down, actually. I think they've that sort of form at this time. They don't need to win every game from now on to stay up. I think they'll probably win enough. Obviously, they took Blackburn's manager, didn't they, off them a couple of months ago?
Yeah.
And it's kind of shown what a good manager he is, in that he's improved Derby, and Blackburn have gone backwards a little bit since he left. So his value is evident. But no, Derby are going to be dangerous when they come down here. Probably suits us that they will come down here and have a bit of a go. They'll probably see that as another game they can win. They won't come down and put everybody behind the ball, I don't think. But we're leaping ahead a bit there, aren't we? That's for next week. Two tough away games first, which we will hopefully give a good account of ourselves.
Your mention of Regan Poole has reminded me there was something I wanted to get your thoughts about. There were two crunching tackles in the Blackburn game. Both were yellow cards. One was Regan Poole, and the other was a tackle on our Cheech.
Yes.
And then we woke up on the Sunday morning, wasn't it? Yeah, Sunday morning. And former distinguished referee Keith Hackett was everywhere saying that Poole should have got a straight red.
Yeah.
Now, what I couldn't work out was how he saw it, because unless he was there and fairly close to the incident, and I don't recall it with any great crisp accuracy, it was a coming together, it was a 50-50. Certainly Regan didn't take prisoners, but I think the other guy was interested as well. He got up and walked away. And everybody's picked up on Hackett saying it should have been a straight red. Did you recollect the incident in any clarity?
No, I don't really. No, I mean, I watched back the highlights, and I think I have seen it again since, but it didn't strike me as at the time as a red card. I think it might even have struck me at the time as the yellow card being a little bit harsh, because it was a strong tackle.
A Tom McIntyre, remember?
Yeah,
he broke his leg and got red carded, and then the red card was rescinded. It happened.
I've forgotten that. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because clearly tackles are judged differently now to how they were 20, 30 years ago. And I understand that you've got to change the rules a little bit with the move of the times. You want to stamp out dangerous play, and even if a defender now gets the ball cleanly, if he puts so much force into it that he then sort of follows through on it and injures a player, that can be viewed badly. I get all that, but I do think there's a lot of fair tackles, hard but fair tackles, are now being punished with cards when they it wouldn't have been a little while ago, and B, maybe shouldn't be. And I think that was maybe one of them. Can't even remember the tackle on O'Sheesh that was the yellow card for them. It's a long time ago now. I'm struggling to remember the detail, but certainly the Poole incident, I don't remember anyone saying on the day he was lucky to stay on the pitch. I'm afraid Keith Hackett sometimes, I mean, good luck to him. He's making a living out of some media duties, but there's a lot of ex-referees now are very happy to go on TV and talk to websites and on radio and judge other present day referees' performances. I wonder how they'd have felt in their day if they'd had ex-referees, because you didn't used to have ex-refs as sort of pundits, as it were, did you? You didn't used to
you never know what they sounded like. No.
And I wonder if Keith Hackett, if back in the 80s, if Keith Hackett had been refereeing a live TV game and they'd had Clive Thomas in the studio, reviewing frame by frame every decision he'd made, I shouldn't think he'd have been too happy about it. But a lot of it also, I also think, it's a non-story, because Hackett can say what he likes about what card was given, but it's gone. The decision's not going to be changed because he's issued an opinion about it, so why is he bothering, sort of thing, really.
Yeah, look, come on, Steve, you're a journalist, and a damn good one. Spill the beans here, lift the lid. When you're looking for copy and it's late on a Sunday afternoon, and you've got to fill something up for Monday, and you've got somebody on a kind of a retainer. I'm not suggesting that Hackett was paid for his comments. It's possible that somebody did pay him somewhere along the lines, and that he might be on. Is it called a retainer or something to be available?
Yeah.
And and the journalist knows who's interviewing you or getting your quote, that it needs to be interesting.
Yes.
And I thought the referee on the whole had quite a good game.
I thought so.
That doesn't get on the wires, does it?
No, it doesn't. There isn't. Yeah, there's an element of that. Journalists like me and others are looking for an angle. You're sometimes looking for a bit of a dispute. You're looking for a row. You're looking for something that people disagree on. You're looking for somebody to say something that other people will get a bit wound up by. It's the way newspapers have always worked. I think they are a bit more careful about it these days. I don't think newspapers can spend all their time or too much of it whipping up that sort of stuff. I don't think I sometimes think there's no need to, really. I think the reader would rather, they want to hear different opinions, and they sometimes want to hear opinions they don't agree with, just so as they can disagree. But I think people can see when something has been blown up out of all proportion these days, and I don't think it finds favour with people as much as it once did. The football and the coverage of football is always going to be have a lot to do with opinions, but I just think sometimes too many people are asked for their opinions, and it's some of the ex-referees we hear from, I'd probably put in that bracket. I mean, they've got as much right to an opinion as anybody else, haven't they? But I don't know if fans are that interested in what ex-referees think. I
think that's a very good point. He has been retired for 25 years.
Yeah, football's changed a lot since his days in the middle.
It certainly has. It certainly has, because I think football is a slightly bloodier game now than it was 10 and 15 years ago. There was an air of gentrification about football back then, so after you, Claude, no, after you, Cuthbert. But now the referee waves play on. You get these crunching tackles. You can hear them in the stands. You can hear the tackle. It's boot on bone.
Yeah.
And the referee just waves play on because he's going to give advantage to whoever happens to come away with the ball. Keep the game flowing is what I believe. Did you hear this, that they were told either at the start of the season before last, I think it was, keep the game flowing?
Yeah, it does ring a bell, and if so, then great, because your average fan in the stand wants to see some tackles, doesn't want to see anybody hurt or anything dangerous, but your average fan in the stand wants to see some full-blooded tackles, part of football, and he wants to see a game flow as much as it can. Nothing worse than a game that's stopped every 90 seconds for a free kick. For something tetchy. So if the referees are moving towards that, play on if you possibly can, then great, I'm all for it. You'll get the ball in play for longer, for more of the 45 minutes and the 90 minutes than.
So let me chuck this one at you, right? You're a Pompey player and you're in the dressing room after the Preston game, and John Messino is telling you that he goes on and on and on about getting the early foul in, right? Would you stand up and say, John, Gaffer, Mr. Messino, it's all very well us doing an early foul, but the referee doesn't give them. He waves play on, and then the next time the ball's out of play, he brings you back and yellow cards you. So, John, it's more complicated than that. When you were a boy, when you were playing.
You make that sound as though it was donkeys years ago. It was about 5 years ago he was playing, but I know what you mean. Yeah, the early foul idea is a bit of a gamble, isn't it? Really, you've got to time it right, and you're going
to be yellowed, aren't you? You're going to be yellowed.
If you're a defender on a yellow card after 45 seconds, you've got a tightrope to walk, haven't you, for the rest of the afternoon? I can't. Do you think that's the sort of advice that our present manager gives? I'm not sure.
No, he sort of says
he's a bit more sort of.
He wants to see players being a little bit more cynical, I think is.
Yeah, I think there are times. We had it the other week, didn't we? Was it at Preston, in fact, where he said that we should have fouled?
Yes.
A Preston player early in the move that actually led to their goal.
Yes,
that's fair enough. That's very honest of him, isn't it? But that's part of football. A foul is, not all fouls are accidents. Plenty of them are deliberate, and they're designed to stop the opposition getting an advantage. And you pay the penalty, you pay the price for it. But you've got to be careful these days, because if you mistime it badly enough, you could end up having a very early bath.
Your thoughts about Freddie Potts, because Graham Potter has signed him on a 4.5-year contract. He has said that he is building a team for the future, which, as a manager who's had a checkered past, done very well at Brighton, couldn't hack it at Chelsea, who can. He's obviously interested in a job that he's going to be in for a couple or 3 years, so he's saying, I'm building a team for the future.
Yeah.
And it sounds as though Freddie Potts is going to be part of that plan. But on the other hand, everybody knows that Freddie Potts has come on in leaps and bounds for us. He's made as much progress as he did with Wickham, I think, where he was the season before.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's also said that he loves it at Pompey. All the right things.
Yes.
He loves the players. He loves the city. He loves the setup. He loves the club. He loves wearing the shirt and everything. So, where is he going to be in August?
Yes, I'm kind of glad you asked me that question at the end of that, but disappointed as well because I just don't know. If I was saying it with my heart, answering with my heart, I'd say West Ham will give him to us again for a second season because he's done so well. My head says actually he'll be at West Ham, but in their first team squad. Not as a. I don't think he's going to start regularly for them next season if he's there. If he is in that first team squad, but I think he might be in and around it. He's come on so well, and we're in the Championship. We're 20 places below West Ham in the league ladder, as it were. It's not like we're 2 or 3 leagues below them. Potts has proved himself at Championship level. They may well think it's time to give him a few Premier League games and League Cup games and what have you, and see what he can do for them. Somebody on Twitter paid Potts it's quite interesting actually, and when you looked at the 2 pictures that were posted with it, you could see what the person meant. The ultimate compliment, really. Somebody posted a picture of a young Jimmy Dickinson next to a picture of Freddie Potts, and said they look similar in a way. And there's some elements of Potts' game that reminded this person of Gentleman Jim. I never saw Jimmy Dickinson play, so I can't comment, but just in the way, I think they were saying, just in the way he sort of carries himself on the pitch, he's very sort of forthright, he's very confident, gets around the pitch confidently, comfortable with the ball at his feet, likes to get a good, hard but fair tackle in when he needs to. For a young Pompey player to have that sort of comparison thrown at him, it can't be bad, can it? He must be doing something right.
He has got an old-fashioned haircut.
Yeah, he has.
It's a 1950s haircut.
The side parting.
That's Brill cream in there. That's none of your Schwarzkopf mousse. That's Brill cream.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you don't see so much of that these days, do you? So yeah, maybe that is what sparked the whole not look-alike thing, but the whole comparison. But it's an interesting one. But yeah, as you say, Potts does genuinely seem to love it here. He feels he's improved as a person and as a player this year. West Ham must see that as well. I think if he's going to go on loan anywhere next season, we'd be favourites to be that club. But I'm just not sure that it'll happen. We learned last summer, didn't we, not to get your hopes up with people like Kamara and Robertson and Angerin.
Have we learned from that? Could we look back on that and say we could have done a little bit better with some of those loanees, and we're going to do better with these guys?
I think so. I'm sure Rich Hughes and his team and the manager they will already have had the conversation. Are we going to try to get Freddie Potts back for next season? Yeah, almost certainly the answer to that is yes, we would like to if we can. So they will have made noises to West Ham already, and they may well be negotiating in a way that kind of shows they have learned from the fact they didn't get Alex Robertson back. Kamara was a bit different because he was always going to go for sort of £4 million or whatever, and Pompey seemingly were never in the hunt for that. Angerin, we don't know the ins and outs of how close he was to coming back or why he didn't come back. But yeah, managers and directors of football learn all the time, like players, don't they?
Should do, yeah.
The longer they're in the job, they'll do different types of deals with different types of clubs, and they'll make mistakes. They'll miss out on deals that they could have otherwise got, and I'm sure they'll learn from them. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what more is said about Potts. I shouldn't think we'll know much until well after the end of this season. He'll go back when there'll be the retained list will come out, and all the loanees will be on that going back to their clubs. That's how it works. but whether there'll be stuff going on in the background about him coming back, don't know. But hope so. But I wouldn't get your hopes up too much.
Now, we hope to talk to you again before the Derby game actually happens.
Yes,
but
sure
these games are coming together so thick and fast. They're really clustered, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think
they
it's
are,
absolutely
yeah.
valid to do what I know is one of your trademarks, which is to look at games in groups.
Group of games, yes.
And one of the things that takes my eye is that the players, if they get a rough game against Coventry, and it will be a hard-working game, come what may, because we press, they won't get home until the wee small hours. I mean, it'll practically be getting daylight when they get home on Thursday morning and get into bed. That means, Friday they'll probably go in.
Yeah.
Sorry, Thursday they'll probably go in, but it'll be a quiet day.
Might be a light bit of training, won't it?
And they've got Friday, and it's home at lunchtime, and take it easy, boys, because we're playing Derby on Saturday.
It's not much of a turnaround, is it? Your Tuesday night to Saturday would be much better.
Yep.
Much more of an even spread of the week, isn't it? I think Coventry was originally down for a Tuesday, but Sky TV have had their say and have had it moved.
Yep.
So we have to get on with it and put up with it. I would assume that Derby are probably not playing on Wednesday night, which will give them an advantage. Having said that, I don't now know. They might be. Should have looked that up before I said that.
I'll look it up whilst you round off your thoughts on this one.
It's so it is a quick turnaround. If you've had a great game at Coventry and you've battled to a famous away win, third of the season it would be if we don't win at Millwall tomorrow, then you don't mind another game 3 days later. But if you've had a bit of a beating, if you've come away from Coventry on the wrong end of the scoreline, are you going to be ready to get back into it on the Saturday? The form of this season shows that we do recover well from away defeats, if that's what's going to happen on Wednesday night. And we still seem to be strong at home in the next game, so I'll have to hope that happens.
Well, Derby have got Swansea away on the Saturday, and then on the Tuesday, you're quite right, they'll have a much longer turnaround time. Tuesday, they're at home, for one thing.
Yeah, right.
And it's Burnley.
Oh, at least that's a tough game for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Burnley will give them a bit of hard work, but 24 hours in the scheme of that, week is a long time extra, isn't it? Hopefully, it's such a big. Pompey v Derby is so big for both sides. I think they'll both find an extra 10% in their legs anyway, really, and I think they'll probably both forget who they've played and what the result was in the previous game by the time they come to trot out at 5-3 on Saturday.
Good point. It can be possible to forget that you're tired.
Yes. Yeah, if you've got a bit of adrenaline going through after a win or something, or after the manager's inspirational words in your ears, then I'm sure we'll be all right.
Okay, prediction time. I'm not going to ask you about Derby. We'll talk about that next week when we reconvene. But your thoughts about Millwall and possibly the score, if we can twist your arm, and ditto Coventry?
I can see us getting a point at Millwall. They beat us at home, didn't they? Not that long ago. Only one of only two teams to beat us in the last 14 at home. Now I think we've won 10, drawn 2, lost 2 or something since that Preston game and the turnaround there. A little bit above us in the table, not going up, not going down. On the face of it, not much to play for, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll just turn up and kick the ball around a bit. I think it'll be a hard game. I'm going to go 1-1 at Millwall, which I'll be very, in my usual way, away from home, I'll be very happy with.
And Frank Lampard's Coventry, as they're now officially known?
Yes. It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. And he's done well with them, actually, because when they came down here, they looked ragged, didn't they? Callum Lang was all over them, 4 goals, could have had more. And you thought, well, what's Frank? Frank's not going to last very long there, but he's actually got them up into good playoff contention. I fear a narrow defeat. I think it'll be a good performance, brave effort by the lads, and at some point during the second half, just when you're getting up your hopes up of us getting a point or going on to win it, I think we might let one in and lose 1-0.
1-0.
I hope to be wrong.
1-0 to Coventry. Ever been to Coventry?
I've not been to their new ground. I went to Highfield Road.
Oh yeah.
and it was a rotten old day because it was at the end of our one season in the 1980s in the First Division. We went up to Coventry. We really needed to win. We had 3 games left. We needed to win that one to keep our hopes alive of staying up. A Coventry player whose name I forget smashed the ball into Kevin Ball from about 1 yard away. Kevin Ball had his arms up in a natural sort of position, and a penalty was given. It was never a penalty, and the fact that I've still remembered it now tells you how bitter I was about it at the time. Lost 1-0. I think it was 1-0. Might even have been 2-0, but I think it was 1-0, and the game was up. Really, we were pretty much down. We were then relegated in our next game after that, home to Newcastle. So, not very fond memories of Coventry.
No.
But then on the upside, to cheer people up a little bit, we did begin our run to the 2010 FA Cup final with a extra time replay win on a very cold night at Coventry when Aaron Mokoena, I think, got an extra time winner. So we have had some joy there as well as some despair. Hopefully we'll have the former next week.
It's funny how the little memories linger. I was working in Birmingham, living in London, and I had to go up to Birmingham on the train, and sometimes the trains were disrupted. And on one occasion we got to Coventry and we weren't going any further, so everybody piled off the train. This was quite late at night, and on the other platform, sitting with his legs dangling off the platform, you can picture that, with a tin of lager, I think probably strong lager, was Paul Gascoigne from nowhere.
Oh, goodness me.
I know. There he was.
Yeah.
We didn't
Last
know.
person you expected to see.
Well, we were commuters, you see. If we'd been football fans, we'd have been all over him, obviously.
Yeah.
But now
just had to pretend it was anybody.
Now I always associate hearing the word Coventry, not with Frank Lampard or Jimmy Hill, but that moment of going through Coventry, and it's a sort of football memory, but funny how the mind works.
And there is a link to what I've just said and what you've just said, because when we did lose to Coventry, but going back to the old First Division campaign, 87-88, lost at Coventry, and 2 days later, as I said, we were relegated by losing at home to Newcastle, which 19-year-old starlet was in the Newcastle side that day.
Yes.
Paul Gascoigne, first glimpse we'd had of him at Fratton Park, and he looked pretty good even then.
Yeah, he came to our attention pretty young, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
I think he's played at Pompey as an opposition player for at least 3 different teams.
Really?
Because he played there for Burnley, played there for Spurs, ran an FA Cup tie for Spurs there in '91, played for Newcastle, and I think he turned up in somebody's testimonial once and downed a pint of Guinness at the side of the pitch just before the game.
I'm sorry, excellent. Do you know, I've noticed in the past that truly great footballers, and I think we can say that of him, truly great footballers end up either goody two-shoes, almost boring.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby Charlton was perhaps the greatest English footballer ever, but there was nothing about him. Even Pele's boring. Franz Beckenbauer is boring. They go completely the other way, and you've got Maradona. In fact, you could have a team, couldn't you? Goody two-shoes.
Yeah, you could. That'd be a great game, wouldn't it?
Versus madmen. I shouldn't say madmen. I mean, I don't mean lunacy lightly.
Colourful characters.
Colourful characters.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick go. Who was the Brazilian captain who used to smoke 40 a day? And was that Aristotle?
No.
Not Aristotle.
Socrates,
good man. I knew he was a philosopher of some sort.
Wrong philosopher. One philosopher out there. Yeah. I mean, George Best would be the obvious one.
George Best.
I mean, what a playboy. I suppose you could have people like Frank Worthington in there.
I was just thinking of Frank. All those stories about Frank that you and I know and we can't tell on the radio.
Yeah. But great characters and remembered fondly for it, aren't they?
Yes,
really?
Yes. You do want, every so often at your club, you want someone who's a bit wacky and zany.
Yeah,
that's why we love John Durkin, because he fit that bill, did he not? Johnny Lager.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he used to fall out of golf carts on pre-season tours and things like that, didn't he? Yeah, but he's a good player and knew where the goal was as well, so good luck to him.
Yeah. Steve, as always, a great pleasure. We've marked your card. Yes. It's Coventry 1, Pompey 0, but with a good performance, we'll take that. And it's 1-1 when we get those when we get up there with those Millwall. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look after yourself. Talk soon.
And you. Look forward to the next one.